exciting. Oh, is that going out now?
Going out now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello there.
Welcome to the Bold Explorer live on the 15th of May 2018, and live in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, we've got him. Finally, he is here. We have dumped him in the seat in front of the very screen that you're watching. We have Chris Bedford, otherwise known as Dumpman. Hello, Chris.
Hello there.
Lovely to see you.
It's a treat to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's a treat to have you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are devoting the whole show to our special guest, Dumpman, which is going to be fantastic. We're going to be talking about what Dumpman gets up to, and that's nothing to do with dumps, mostly.
No, it isn't. Despite what your viewer said last week.
Yes.
Yeah. No dumping today.
No dumping. No dumping. Although, of course, I may dump you in it with some of my questions.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. I'll do my best. However, we will maybe find out how you got that name in the show.
Yeah.
So that would be good. We're going to be looking at, of course, we'll have a look in the gallery and see what pictures you've been posting in the group and encouraging more people to join. I should tell you we now have 654 members of the group. So that's really good. Trying to get up to 700 before the end of the month. So if you know anybody who wants to join, then tell them about it. So Dumpman is here, but before we go and see Dumpman, let's see if there's anybody actually watching the show. And it seems that there is. We've got Steve Pilfold, we have Todd Desborough, we have Jennifer Stewart, we have Dawn Lindsay, we have Nikki Jess, we have Henry David Allen, we have Mark English, we have John Berger, Elaine Brazier, and Jane Ainsley. I mean, so many. Andy Ash, Jennifer Stewart, the lovely Julia, we have Kevin Hall, Alan Piddington, and if I haven't mentioned your name, I'm very sorry, but we haven't got all day, have we?
Well, I was hoping to meet the lovely Julia here.
Oh,
sadly not.
The lovely Julia is watching.
That's good enough.
Yes.
Hello, the lovely Julia.
So
I pinched your seat.
You have pinched her seat, which is marvellous. We've got loads of emojis coming up, so that's sort of signs of appreciation.
Oh,
and there, look, I don't know if you can see that, but the lovely Julia was just giving a little. You could just tell.
I think I saw that.
The little fairy picture comes up like fairy dust. So there we go, which is absolutely marvellous. So, we are live, we're going out, which is great. We are going to take your questions as well, which would be very, very nice if you've got any questions for Dumpman as we go. We also have, in a bag, I don't know, oh yes, we've also got a little prize to give away. We're not going to announce the details of it, but you can tell us what it is, Chris.
Okay, well this is the latest Dumpman film. Which was recreating a railway journey in Hampshire known as the Sprat and Winkle line.
The Sprat and Winkle line?
Yeah.
What a name. Is that like that's related to the seaside? It's fish.
It is.
Sprat and Winkle.
It's a mystery as to why it's sea fish that gave it its name. It's well known. The Test Valley is very good for fishing.
Ah, right, okay.
So that was where the name came from. Anyway, this is the latest. I'll just show you. That's what it looks like. Because you don't get any fancy artwork with the Dumpman film. It's cheap and cheerful.
But people love them, don't they?
They seem to, yeah.
We'll talk about the style of filming and the technology that you use as we go in the show, because it is actually quite fascinating how you go about doing it, especially in this modern era when a lot of us are using computers and all of that.
Well, the films, most of you will know that we've done a few films together, and I've always been struck by Richard's amazing array, and I'm looking at it here, of high tech, whereas I use 25-year-old video cameras that look like a house brick. So
yeah, so you go back 25 years, did you say?
Mostly, yeah.
To
I use tape, yeah.
Tape. So we'll first of all get on to Dumpman films, and when we'll talk about the high 8 tape and why. Because I'm curious how long it takes you to put the productions together, because I have to bung them together very quickly, and the technology that I have at my hand means I can put out these videos every day.
Well, I don't put them together very well, that's the truth.
I'm sure that's not true. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's find out, Dumpman Films, what is it you film, Dumpman?
Well, really it's recreating old railway journeys that you can't do anymore. Because they've been taken up. And about 12 years ago, the interest has always been there since I was a kid. My dad instilled that in me from taking me on railway walks. in the West Country on family holidays at the late 70s or whatever. And I suppose about 12 years ago I made a few homemade little films about railways locally in Sussex, and my girlfriend at the time, later my wife, hello there if you're watching, I don't suppose you are.
She might do, she might watch the
possibly,
rerun.
Yeah. Said, why don't you stick one on eBay just for fun? And there was a great interest, and that was quite a surprise. So I then approached it as, rather than filming for my own entertainment, what would people like to see, and as a presentation, rather than a diary. And that's the way it's gone, really.
It's
completely
amazing.
Homemade.
And were many other people doing it at the time?
Not that I was aware of.
Right. Yeah.
But I could easily have not been aware.
No. Well,
I'm still not.
I know, but that's the funny thing. Sometimes I feel if I see what the competition is doing, it would put me off, because I'll often think, well, they're doing it so much better than me, and they're more organised, or they've got better equipment, or they just are more informed.
Yeah.
So I just go blinkedly, well, this is what I'm doing, and sod everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to do it.
One of the things that we like to do on the show whenever we have a guest is, of course, to lubricate their throat. But this time, Dumpman has brought the lubrication. Have you not?
I was just waiting for you to say that.
Well,
can I pour you a drink, Richard?
You may pour me a drink, which is absolutely lovely. What have you got for the old Baltic Explorer, the Vobes One-Eyed Kenobi?
A couple of cans of San Miguel.
San Miguel, marvellous. Look at that.
Even that noise is good, isn't it? Isn't it fabulous?
We've opened the beer, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're watching at home, then here's the time to go to the fridge and pull something out. We've got all the thumbs up coming up as a result of that, which is great. So have you ever done Westerham Valley Branch line, Dumpman?
Yes, I have done that.
Alan Piddington.
Yes, Alan.
He has.
I think it was last year, could have been the year before.
Oh, right, because you've been going for a long time doing these. Martin Snow says, I have a Mini DV2. My first high 8 was £1,700 in 1990, talking of technology.
I pick them up on eBay for 40 or 50 quid,
Even now?
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're out and you get caught in the rain, or you fall off the chopper and drop the camera, then you just get another one for peanuts. That's a big appeal, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, well, that's very true.
If you chuck your gimbal on the floor, how much does that cost to replace?
It was 200 quid.
Oh, yeah. Way beyond the budget of Dumpman films, I can assure you of that.
It's way beyond the budget of Bold Explorer films. This looks very nice.
It's all right,
yeah, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not often that we drink beer on the show. I used to do the podcast, the Vobes show, and every Friday we used to do the beer show, because it wasn't on camera. But it was great fun drinking with my mate at the time, Jimmy, and we would get pretty legless by the end of the show and end up just laughing and giggling. So you may find that I'm laughing and giggling already just at the thought of having Dumpman here. So that's rather good.
They don't know how many we already had before the show.
Yes, that's true.
Cheers.
Steve. Oh, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming and questioning. Now, Steve Pilford, whose question has just gone past, he says, does Dumpman's chopper odometer, if that's how you pronounce it, work in miles or chains?
Oh, that's such a good question. It doesn't have an odometer, Steve. I just stop when I'm exhausted, which is probably after about 3 miles.
Do you still use the chopper in your films?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, the people that buy Dumpman films are particular fans of the chopper.
Right.
So if you make a film and the chopper doesn't feature, it's like,
where's the
chopper?
Yeah.
So the latest film, not that I'm plugging anything.
Well, you should.
Features the chopper quite heavily, because it took a year off last year.
Oh, so it wasn't in them.
It wasn't in them at all. So it features far more.
Far more. Well, and so when you say it features, do you mean the fact that you're on it and you see the handlebars in your hand? Because I know in your early films you're sort of holding the camera here, and you're holding the handlebars there.
It's the same with their later films.
Is it?
If you've got a good formula, stick to it.
Well, absolutely.
No, I mean, people see the bike because there are a certain number of shots where, because if it's simply riding and filming the trackbed, that can get a bit tedious. So what I'll do is dump the camera down in the bushes, ride towards it, then reposition it, so you see the bike appearing and the bike
and the rider.
Yeah, so that gives you more of a feeling of a journey. So it's more fun. So the chopper is a star.
Yes. When you started doing them, did you have the long hair?
Yes, I did.
Would you like, ladies and gentlemen, to see an early photograph of Dumpman in his prime? Well, you're in your prime now. What am I saying?
Thank you very much.
I know. I quickly correct myself. Here is an early shot of Dumpman when he is starting out. What do you make of this?
So what I'm bringing to the Bald Explorer is hair.
hair, and a lot of hair, which is and I love the hat that goes with it.
Yeah.
And so there you are with the giant camera and the chopper.
That's the same camera I still use.
Oh, is it the same camera?
That one, yeah.
Good heavens. And a tunnel. Where are you? Can you remember where you were?
Yeah, that tunnel, you can't get that view anymore, sadly, because they put a fence across it. It's known as Liewood Tunnel, which is quite close to Ardingly, and it's on the Ardingly branch line between Ardingly and the Bluebell Railway at Horsted Canes.
Oh, right.
So the Bluebell actually owned the track bed, but for insurance purposes they were told they had to fence it off, which is a great shame because it was one of the finest disused tunnels in Sussex that you could go and walk along and enjoy, and see an unfettered view.
Yes.
No longer.
No longer can go down there,
Yeah.
which is a shame.
We can go down there, but you can't go in.
Right, yes. That's kind of what I mean. So, the long hair, how long... when did you lose the hair?
2010, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, not that long ago. Only about 8 years ago.
8 years, yeah.
Because you're a young whippersnapper, really.
I was younger then.
And you're still wearing virtually the same T-shirt.
Well, that's the winter one. This is the summer one, you see. Even a heavy metal fan has to have his summer outfits.
Yes, of course. Well, that makes sense. And I noticed because we've done some videos, as you said, together. We'll talk a bit about those later on. And it's Motorhead all the way.
Generally, yeah.
When were you...
Try and keep consistent, when it comes to the outfits in the films.
Yeah, no, well, I like to wear I'm not wearing it today.
The brown jacket.
The sort of tweedy jacket, yeah. But in the summer, it's a bit warm to do that. And I have made videos where I've had when I made my long format ones with the Bald Explorer, I've had, the one in Petworth, for example, took about 3 months to make, and it was cold when we started. So I had jumper and the tweed and a t-shirt underneath the shirt. So I had 4 layers, and then the sun would come out and it would be blistering hot. But I'm trying to keep the continuity.
Continuity, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and then in between the takes, as I'm lining up the camera, everything's coming off, and we're lining up the camera. And it's like, right, okay, putting it all back on again, and trying to look as if you're, all nonchalant. But so it can be a pain. But so having a t-shirt is clearly the best way forward.
Yeah. Well, I think they're the best band in the world, so that helps.
When did you start listening to Motorhead?
I got my first Motorhead record when I was 9.
Wow.
Or maybe 10.
So you're talking LPs.
Well, that was a 7-inch single.
It was 7-inch. All right, okay. So you've mentioned your technology for cameras.
Yeah.
Do you still listen to LPs, or are you an MP3 man now?
No, I've never downloaded anything in my life. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to do it. That's really why I stick with old technology. Right. No, I still listen to vinyl. I never got rid of any of my records. Any of you that did that, big mistake, wasn't it? Bet you miss it now.
Yeah. I
love vinyl. I love it's a big, wonderful.
And it's tactile. That's the other thing, isn't it? It is it's a solid object. It's not just mysterious.
Yeah.
And I think kids these days are beginning to want something to hold in their hand. When you download. Stop it. When you download an MP3, it's sort of invisible. You've got nothing. There's no real association with the band.
Yeah.
But if you've got an album and the album art and the sleeve...
That's the thing, is the album artwork, the inner sleeve, the lyrics, all that whole thing is fabulous.
And of course,
I'm sure we're talking to the converted this lot.
Yeah, I'm sure, absolutely. I'm sure. Let's have a look and see what people are saying.
Tell us you've kept all your vinyl. That's a comment.
Still have my LP, says Mark English. So there we go.
Good
Hell
on you,
yes.
Mark. Well done.
That's great. LPs forever, says Malcolm Glacier. Glenn says never sold a record yet.
Ah.
No, I when I was a kid. This is a sacrilege story. When I was a kid, and I'm talking about 8 or 9, used to go up the road. I lived in a cul-de-sac, and I used to go up the road with my sister. We'd take a trolley, like one of those old-fashioned tea trolleys that you'd see grannies have.
Yeah.
And I'd nicked my dad's 78 records.
Oh.
And we're talking in the 70s with 78 records. And probably the early 70s.
Yeah.
And we're knocking on people's doors, selling them. Going, hello, would you like to... But we were very enterprising, my sister and I. We were selling these records, which we pinched from Dad, because he wasn't listening, because they were just sort of going out and LPs were in, vinyl was in. So we were selling this. Not many people would buy them, but people did buy them for tuppence out of sympathy for these two little ragabonds going up the road.
Urchins selling their stolen wares.
Yeah, and then we would go over to the farmer's field and dig up beetroot. And we would knock on the door. Now, these houses backed onto the same fields, but we'd gone and nicked the beetroot and were selling them to that same house. They could have gone out and dug it up. But, of course, it's far easier to buy from a couple of likely kids. So, yeah. So, in theory, I should have been a great salesperson and an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Don't know what went wrong, really. But, so sold my dad's vinyls. So, there you go. Richard Suggett says, I've got a couple of LPs from my favourite pub band, Iron Tiger. Ever heard of Iron Tiger?
Don't know that name.
I'm watching today, says Dean Abbott from Oregon, US of A.
Good Lord.
So there we go.
Hello,
people
US
all over the way. Claire Leach wants to know, do you like any other bands, Dumpman?
Yes.
Good. Maybe you could mention some. Or one even.
Okay. Many different ones. I mean, it doesn't have to be heavy metal, it doesn't have to be raucous, but I think the Motorhead t-shirt is a nice thing to look at, you see, so that's why I always wear it. But yeah, all sorts. Classical. I work in a warehouse where we can play loud music all day, which is a wonderful thing, for which I'm completely grateful. And that can be classical, jazz, anything, really. A huge variety.
Who makes the decision then of what you play?
Mostly me.
Oh, right. Whoever has the keys to the record player.
Yeah.
Does it play records there?
Yeah, we play records and mostly CD actually. Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. Marvin Gaye, says Paul Watts.
Haven't got any of his. Although I like it though.
Oh, okay. Richard Suggett says, check them out, Dumpman. They do an awesome version of Ace of Spades.
This is Iron Tiger.
This is, Iron Tiger.
Okay, I'll do that.
Andy Ash wants to know if you listen to Barry Manilow.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much these days.
Even the charity shops charge top bucks for the old records now, says Malcolm Glazer.
Depends on the charity shop. They all vary. I mean, I do a lot of charity shopping in Haywards Heath. I think there are 9 charity shops in Haywards Heath, and the price varies enormously. So shop around, you know.
So there we go. If you know what you're looking for.
Steve Blakey. Hi, Steve.
Steve Blakey. He says that the latest Dumpman vid is brill.
Thank you.
So there we go. We'll get on to that. So tell us about the early days of filming your films, because you're filming disused railway lines that have changed. The railway's no longer there, so presumably some of it's now private property, some of it's open access, some of it's not so open.
A lot of it was private then, actually.
So how easy was it to go and trace the route? And
depends what time of day you go.
Yeah, and what time of year, presumably, because some of it must have been overgrown.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to try and go in the winter, generally around Easter, actually, so that there's less leaves in the way of the views.
Right.
It's great going in the summer, but you don't really see quite as much. So yeah, going in the winter time is good. Access, everything seems to be becoming more and more private all over the place. So it is tricky, and finding out who owns what is always a problem. In the early days, I was far more gung ho about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and just hopping over the fence and hoping for the best. And I've never really come too much of a cropper with that approach. I had a few little problems, aggressive dogs and that sort of thing. But yeah, just going for it really.
Because when we went to Christ Hospital, not Christ Hospital, the Storrington one, not Storrington, the
Christ Hospital, we did Singleton.
Singleton, that was the word I was looking for. Yeah, Singleton. Yeah. When we went to there was almost a complete station still there.
Yeah.
In terms of the platforms and the underground tunnel thing.
And it's completely changed since we made that film. The whole thing has completely changed.
Oh, has it really?
Cleared all the platforms. All the vegetation has been cut down. And they're looking at, I believe, extending the footpath, which is known as the Centurion Way, So it's going to be a cycle path.
So people can actually go past it.
Yeah.
Oh, so they.
So really, what we caught was the last, one of the last views of seeing it in that wonderfully overgrown state.
Yeah.
Which is
that sort of abandoned
magical,
thing. So that's. Would you say that that's the essence of what you're looking for? Because once it's cleared and it's kind of clean and clinical, sterile, and yet discovering it. So discovering a station, even though you may not be the first to discover it, but for you to go there for the first time must be that magic. I mean, it was for me completely. When we were going down that passage and thinking, blimey, here we are.
No, it's a fabulous thing. I mean, if you think of yourself as a child, wanting to sneak down a disused railway tunnel, that level of excitement, I don't think it really goes away.
No.
It doesn't go away for me anyway. So, seeing something like that for the first time, and you can feel as though you're the first person to have visited in 50 years or something. Yeah. That's magic, You can't buy that stuff.
No, absolutely.
You have to just go and do it.
And whenever you're doing it, do you bump into other people who are also doing something, not necessarily filming, but they're just interested, they're just, walking because they know about the site?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so you end up with a bit of banter going.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, initially...
Vlog a few videos.
Yeah, well, I always try and do that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think some of the funniest things is when you bump into someone else in a place where you perhaps ought not to be.
Right.
And initially you both eye each other with suspicion, thinking, is this the landowner? Am I about to be shouted at?
Yeah.
And then there's great palpable relief when you realise, oh no, we're both, just exploring.
We're both enthusiasts.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. You're all chatting amongst yourselves, which is good. We've got now, just to break it up now. I know this might not go well with beer, but it's always nice to feed our guests.
I'm not having one of them.
You're not having one.
What's that? What is it?
What is it? This I did pick this up from Morrison, so they're their own brand. But these are Chorley cakes, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you've ever heard of Chorley cakes. Surely not. And they're like an Eccles cake, apparently. I've lost the page now, but anyway. They are. You're supposed to put cheese on or butter on or something. They look like this, but they look quite tasty. You sure you don't want one?
I think they look pretty anemic, frankly.
Yeah, they probably are.
Rather glad I brought my stash of peanuts.
Oh, you've got your peanuts,
and I've got. You can have some peanuts.
Lovely. I've got Chorley cake. Yeah. So, but now because if I fill my gob full of that, I can't ask you any more questions. So that's okay. That's down to the viewers to ask the questions. Let's have another look at some of the pictures then. So let's have a look at the legendary chopper. Is this the same chopper, or have you changed choppers in the years that you've been doing it?
No, that's all. I do have more than one, but that's always the one I use for filming. I did used to buy and sell them in the 90s.
Did you?
Yeah, and I had about 30 of them pass through my hands.
Good heavens.
I just got lucky, actually. I've had a variety of them that I was doing up for fun, and then they suddenly became terribly popular when I think it was when Supergrass did you remember that song, We Are Young, We Are Free?
Yeah.
And in the video they're all riding choppers, and
right,
the interest went up exponentially, so I did a bit of buying and selling of choppers for a while, and I've kept 3 of them.
What is it about the chopper then that, because I can't imagine it's the easiest of bike to ride in a long, for a long duration.
You've obviously not tried it.
No.
It's the thing about it is that it's ideally suited for filming because you're in a nice armchair position. I mean, if you think of a mountain bike, racing bike, you're down.
Yep.
Whereas with that, I'm almost sat upright, and one hand on the handlebars, the other hand holding the camera, talking, giving commentary to the microphone. It's great. I now find it quite difficult to ride anything else, having ridden that since 1989 or whenever it was.
Because the front wheel's smaller than the back wheel.
Significantly,
yeah. Whereas most bikes, that doesn't happen. I wonder why.
It's a very comfortable riding position. Yeah, I mean, they get a lot.
It's a heavy bike, though, isn't it?
It's a heavy bike, and it's an absolute death trap to people who aren't used to it. That particular bike, I used to live in Brighton years ago, and I lent it to people who'd say, "Well, can I have a go on the bike?" And you think, "Oh God, here we go." And 2 people within short succession fell off and broke their arm, So I'm always rather wary when people come along and say, "Can I have a go on the chopper?" Especially if they're middle-aged. The damage is going to be significant.
And what was it? Was it 3 gears?
Yeah, only 2 of them work actually, but you only need a couple of gears. Really. All this 21 gears stuff.
Well, you're travelling.
Overrated.
You're travelling on fairly flat land anyway.
Yeah, generally trying to.
Because it's because it's a railway track.
I won't cycle up hills, Richard. That's ridiculous business.
I'm so sorry. And but do you not get achy thighs? Because presumably your legs are never fully extended as you ride that.
If you look very carefully at the picture, the saddle has been put up absolutely as far as it can be.
Oh, I see.
I could bore you with great tales of the different varieties of chopper. But I'm not going to do that.
No, thanks.
Another show.
Yeah.
We could do a chopper show.
A chopper show.
Show us your chopper.
Yeah.
Get your chopper out.
Well, that would bring up the viewing figures. Something called "Show Us Your Chopper."
Show us your chopper. But it's basically it's set up to be ridden for an adult, and it's quite comfortable.
Oh, okay.
You can straighten your legs.
All right. Well, I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Come and have a go on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have a go on my chopper.
Yeah. Film me on your chopper. So let's have a look at another picture of Dumpman from your past, because we've got some lovely pictures here. So this one is in a tunnel. You can tell us in a minute where it is, but you still have your hair in this one, and it looks like you're in the middle of performing that musical Hair. You know, you're doing a hello, look at me sort of thing.
Oh, just giving a wave, I think.
Where are you then? That looks like a very friendly sort of tunnel.
It's a lovely tunnel, that. Yeah. Well, you and I visited that one. That's in Newark.
That's the one we went down.
Yeah, it's called Cinder Hill Tunnel. And that one is still open. There are no fences across that, so you can still see that view.
You can still go through it.
I think that picture is from about 2000 or late 90s, something like that.
This is the tunnel
hasn't changed.
that you had a party in.
Yeah, that's it.
You had a party in a midnight party.
Yeah, that was good. Actually, we did
was that?
3 parties. In
fact. 3?
89, 90 and 91.
You see, Dumpman knows how to live, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. In a tunnel.
In a tunnel.
Yeah. No, that was great. I mean, I think...
You had music?
Yeah, we had an old car stereo, car batteries, a couple of car batteries, and we had jam jars with nightlight candles going down. Made it look like a runway. I've got some pictures, not very good pictures.
Not here, though, unfortunately.
No. I spent the whole night flipping burgers,
So you had a barbecue going?
Yeah, I had a barbecue. And I think the last one we did was, there were, I think, 150 people passed through.
Wow.
Lots of people slept the night in the tunnel. It was great.
Slept the night? Yeah. In sleeping bags? And
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was really, really good fun.
And, did the owners know about this?
They didn't know about the first 2.
Right.
But when it came to the third party, they did know. However, one of my friends happened to be sleeping with the daughter of one of the landowners, which kind of helped when it came to getting permission.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Has anybody else had a party in an unusual place, like a tunnel? That would be interesting. Is that tunnel south of Sheffield Park? Asked,
yes.
Matthew Holdsworth.
Yes, it is, Matthew Holdsworth.
So there we go. That's the way to party, says Nigel Sadler. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I do love that idea of the jam jar lights.
Yeah, it really looked great,
Fantastic. Have you ever done it in any other tunnels, parties? No, just that one.
That was it. Yeah, it was accessible. No, maybe again.
Who knows? Yeah. Oh well, that's fantastic. Didn't that tunnel save the lives of the people on a train that was being attacked by a German fighter? Matthew is asking.
Possibly, but that story seems to surface for every railway tunnel.
You can imagine that anybody, if during the Battle of Britain, that if you're near a tunnel, it'd be a great place to go and just hide anyway.
But it has to be a pretty short train, because it's not a very long tunnel.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
true.
Probably true.
Yeah, we'll say it's true.
Let's say it's true.
Absolutely.
True. Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we carry on, let's just have a quick time check. It's past. We're going to reveal how you can get your hands on some of Dumpman's videos for free. Well, for the price of a postage stamp.
Doesn't happen often.
Doesn't know. So that's almost free. But before we get to that, I want to first of all tell everybody that I have had some postcards. Yes, the old Vobes postcard sack has filled up. So first of all, I've got a lovely moo cow here from Ian Beddoes. And he says, can't think why this reminds me of the Vobes. Ah, well, back to the sightseeing. Not found a snug and cosy museum anywhere. Keep broadcasting, from Ian Beddoes. And he's written that to Richard and Julia, which is very sweet. So thank you very much, Ian. That's come from, where's that? From Jersey. He's in Jersey at the moment. And this is a Jersey cow. And I will wear it with pride later. It will go up with the others. We're slowly going to get. So if you want to send a postcard from somewhere, send me an email and I'll send you my address. That's the only way to do it. And then you can send a postcard. But that will cost you a postcard and a stamp, obviously. But my email address is richard@vobes, easy to remember, richard@vobes.com. So that's one. We've got another one. Just trying to find places to put this. This one, a bit nearer to home, is of Brighton seafront. 2 chairs there. Look at that. I could sit there with a friend. Maybe Dumpman and I could sun ourselves there, which would be very nice. This is from Anne and Bob Osborne. And she says, to Richard, add this to the wall. And it's addressed to the Bald Explorer. I certainly will, Anne and Bob. Thank you so much. There we go. It's lovely to get a postcard from where you are. Although I don't think, Anne and Bob, you are actually in Brighton. Or were you visiting Brighton? Anyway, that'll go up. We'll shove that up tomorrow. In tomorrow's show, by the way, my daughter Georgie is going to be in. And she's going to be talking, amongst other things, about her intended travels to New Zealand. She's 25 and she wants to go travelling on her own. So that's all very exciting and looking forward to that. However, the exciting moment now, ladies and gentlemen, has arrived. How can people get hold of the Dumpman videos for free without having to normally buy them? How much are they normally?
Terribly expensive.
Oh,
vastly overpriced.
Vastly overpriced.
So Richard's stuff is largely for free. Well, it's not actually. You have systems.
I have systems.
My stuff you have to pay for normally. Yeah. They vary enormously.
Well, you need to buy these lovely Motorhead.
Go keep me in Motorhead.
Yeah, Motorhead t-shirts. That's right.
The chopper needs new tyres every couple of years.
That's true.
No, I mean they start at sort of £4 for the short and ones which I don't consider to be terribly good, up to sort of £15 for the great big epics.
Yeah. How long are they?
Depends. Yeah, I mean some of them. What's the longest one? There's one about the Meon Valley line in Hampshire, which was a huge, great big struggle to do, and I think that's spread over 4 DVDs, probably 4 hours worth.
Wow.
So you've got to be really dedicated to watch all of that, or have absolutely nothing else in your life to be getting on with.
Well,
it's probably what doesn't sell very well.
I'm sure it does. But, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to pay anything today because Dumpman has come up with a mechanism.
Yes.
That sounds very odd. You're giving away 5, is that right?
Yeah.
5 DVDs to really the first 5 people who can be bothered to send you an email.
That's right.
The catch is that you will have to send a stamped addressed envelope. Is that right?
No, you don't have to do that.
Oh, you'll
yeah.
So okay, so you just need to send your address.
That's it. The first 5 emails that I get.
The first 5 emails. So I suppose we better tell people what the email address is.
Sure.
Because people probably haven't got a pen and paper handy, so you can always watch the rerun, of course. But so Dumpman.
Well, your best bet.
I've got a drum roll here. How do they? Yes. What's the best thing?
What you want to do is look at my website, which is www.dumpman.co.uk, and on there you'll find the email address. Dumpman.co.uk. That's it. Yeah.
And then search for the email address. Oh, that's good. It gives people something to do.
Yes, it does.
Yes, there's a little bit of detective
Free
work.
entertainment in today's modern world. Send us an email. The first 5 that come in, I'll send you a free copy of this fairly exciting but not the best new film, and see what you think. Good luck.
There you go. Because obviously it's only the first 5, so
well, maybe 6.
Maybe 6. We'll see how generous. Generous he is. If anyone gets 1 email.
Yeah, no one wants it.
You'll have to let me know. If nobody does it, we'll try and find some poor soul.
Sell them again next week.
Yeah. We'll go down to the pier and see if we can't palm them off. Yeah. I mean, flog them to somebody. I'm sure people they'll be doing it at this very moment. So that would be great. If you've got any questions for Dumpman, do ask the questions, because it's lovely to hear your thoughts on that. Because I may miss some of them, because obviously I can't keep an eye on the comments all the time.
I don't know how you can see that.
Judith Oakley says, I have a Dumpman DVD on the West Pier of Brighton.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Judith, because
Oh, you got
we
another picture?
have another picture, and it just so happens, this is the only one we picked out, this is on the West Pier. So tell us about your journey onto the West Pier, because that's all gone now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the film I've got of the West Pier, it's not really a Dumpman film. It's more home footage of a trip, because you used to be able to do these tours of the West Pier, and I went on one in the late 90s. I think it was 99 or thereabouts, and I just took a camera along thinking it might be interesting, kept the footage, and it was only years later when I started doing Dumpman films I thought, oh, maybe people would be interested in that, and they were in spades, you know.
Right.
So
and of course, you know, if you're one of those people who films something that's no longer there, nobody can go back and do it.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I think there must be countless other people out
Yeah,
there who did
yeah.
take footage, but I've not seen
I
it.
was bigging you up then.
Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry on, lad.
You know, the unique film that you
Yeah.
cannot get anywhere else
Yeah.
on West Pier in Brighton, ladies and gentlemen. It was only fortuitous that
Yes,
you
it was.
barged in
Very
with your
lucky.
camera. Out the way! I must capture this before it's gone. Something like that, isn't
Something
it?
like
Something.
that. Yeah.
Remember,
It was a treat to see. It was an amazing sight. It
and
really was.
how much, when you went on the tour, how much was still standing?
Well, quite a bit, because
I mean, it had
this
to be
is
relatively safe.
yeah.
to let
I mean,
people
well,
on.
they'd built a kind of walkway within the structure, so
Oh, I
to
see.
make it safer. But I mean, this was before the big storms, and also before the fire, the allegedly deliberate fire. So there was loads of features still intact.
Right.
It was fabulous. I'm so glad I did it. You know.
And this is they filmed Oh What a Lovely War on the
That's
West
right.
Pier.
Yeah, yeah.
Directed by Richard Attenborough, I
Yeah.
seem to remember. And I can't remember when that was made, in the 60s or 70s.
I think it. Not sure.
Not sure,
Not
but you know, a long time ago. But sadly, it's no longer there. So Judith, you're not. It's interesting that you happen to have got that. Did you like it? I guess is the question.
It's a popular
Kushti
one.
Pill has just put your address up on the comments thing. I don't think you're supposed to do that thing.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
There we go. Well, we won't read it out. You'll have
Christy
to...
Phil, that's not a problem. I don't mind.
Claire says, wow, would love to have gone on the West Pier. Yeah, no, I would like to have done that. Phil Hines says, we used to go to the tunnel near West Meon when it was full of aircraft parts before the fire. A nice long tunnel.
Yeah.
When he says aircraft parts, I mean, what sort of air... Do you know what he's talking about?
I didn't see it during that time, but I have heard that it was used for storage of old aircraft parts. I mean, the Meon Valley line's great. You know, it's full of exciting things to see. And there were, I can't remember if it was two huge tunnels.
Right.
One of which I did get into with permission, and they're just enormous, great big things. Yeah.
Mark English wants to know, why does Dumpman not put them online for free, like on Vimeo, on demand, where you could either pay for them that way?
Because that requires thought and learning new technology, and I can't be bothered. And people buy it this way, so that's the way it is.
So basically, if it
So
ain't
I'm
broke,
no, yeah.
it works. People are buying and they're happy to get them on DVD. And actually, it is quite
Lucky
interesting.
not getting it on VHS as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
I was just going to go and say, actually, it is quite nice these days, I think more so than any other time, to get things through the post.
Yeah, people like post. Those postcards. Didn't you see his face
Yeah.
light up when he got the little
You
postcard?
get the postcards, you know. I think now these sort of things are special. You get somebody has actually written on the back in their own handwriting, and it's a connection with that person. As much as email is great for instant communication and doing business and stuff, you know, if you get a letter from a lover or a letter from a granny or somebody like that, so much nicer. And also you keep them, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, whilst people keep their emails, they never go back to them. But I have a box of letters that because I was a prolific writer of letters, not anything particularly literary wise, you know, not like an Oscar Wilde or anything like that, but you know, lots to lots of girls who didn't want to know me. Said, please go out with me, sort of thing. As a young sort of, I don't know,
Lavalier.
Yeah. as a young 3-year-old. No, as a young 10-year-old or something. Yes, you know, I used to have communication with people, and I've got those letters all wrapped up in a box, which you can go back and go, oh, if only, if only.
Yes, I was loved once.
I was loved once.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. And now it's all so sordid.
Oh dear.
But never mind. Judith Oakley says only get junk mail these days. Well, that's right. Linda Kane says, of course, it does keep the Royal Mail going, and most people's handwriting, says Richard Suggett, is awful. Well, he says his handwriting, actually. I re-paraphrased that. And that's true, because people aren't writing very much anymore.
I don't think it matters, you know. A postcard, even with an illegible scrawl, is still a nice thing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, doctors. Get a prescription from a doctor.
Get a postcard from your doctor.
Yeah, no, not often.
Wish you were here.
Yeah. I've got the pox. Please send something over. Martin Snow, boasting here, says, I've got emails back to about 1994 and still refer to them.
Gosh.
I have to say,
I don't know what to say.
Martin Snow, that sums you up, dear boy. That sums you up.
Yes.
Alan Pinnington says, can you ask Dumpman what his favourite line is? I'm assuming you're talking about train line, not a witty line or chat-up line.
Okay. Can I have your telephone number? Yeah. It's a really hard question. Favourite disused line. You know, they've all got something, and there's always some element of them where you fall in love with them to some extent. But if you're talking about Sussex, and we may as well, because although I've been elsewhere, but we are talking about Sussex. I think probably the line that go around between Midhurst and Chichester, which we did, the Singleton station, is a cracker. You know, it's absolutely magic. It's got everything. It's got the stations that are still there, tunnels, exploration, wonderful countryside. It's got the lot. You know,
and most of it's still accessible.
Yeah, a lot of it is. So
there we go.
Get on out and explore that one.
Get out and explore. Yeah, I mean, I need to do a bit more on just walks. I mean, you know, in a 10-minute walk, you're not going to see very much, but hopefully you're going to take me to see some more interesting places.
We are going to do some more, yeah.
Yeah.
But we have been planning on doing some more Dumpman Bald Explorer combined stuff, but it's mostly been me that's been holding it back for not being available. Sorry.
That's all right. You're a busy man.
The enthusiasm's there. So, and there's plenty of other bits and pieces that we need to go and see. So watch this space.
We will get out,
yes,
definitely, which is fantastic. Claire Leach says, I had to ask around if there were any postcards of Salt Dean in my post office and searched for a long time. Well, thank you, Claire, because we've got yours is up there of Salt Dean.
That's all right.
There is a place online, I think it's oldpostcards.com, where you can get lovely old vintage postcards. And, of course, some of those are probably invaluable when you're searching for railways, because they show you the railways in their prime.
I got a big postcard collection.
Have you?
For disused railways.
Disused, yeah. So it is amazing. Julia says, did I miss the answer to why Dumpman? No, you didn't miss that. We're going to ask that question right now. I've seen it come up. A few people have asked it. So, where does the moniker Dumpman come from?
It's not very exciting, really. When I was at school, most other people would play sports in the afternoon, and then at the end of their day of playing sport, they would go to a nearby rubbish tip to have a cigarette. And I did my best to get out of playing sport, because that involved, you know, social interaction. It was always a pickle. So I'd spend most of my afternoon having a fag at the dump. And so everybody would finish their various activities and go, and there I would be, and they'd say, oh, it's the guy who's always at the dump, the dump man. That's it.
So as a result of smoking it, instead of behind the bike sheds...
Passive smoking for pleasure, yeah.
So you could have been behind the bike sheds, you would have been bike man.
Yeah, that's
or shed, but no. See, I think Dumpman's worked very well. So there we go.
I loathed it at the time.
Did you?
But when I started doing the films and eBay, you need to have an eBay ID. You know,
yes.
And I thought, well, we'll use that.
Dumpman, and you've not looked back.
Ended up becoming a minor brand, which is rather fun, really.
Yeah, why not? Steve Pilfow says the Cuckoo Trail. That he made a film, he did some Vobing reporting, is accessible by wheelchairs for 11 miles, including the tunnel. Lovely countryside too.
It is lovely, yeah. Although there's a big argument going on at the moment about whether Heathfield Tunnel is still accessible, or whether the gates have been locked because of antisocial behaviour.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, I've done that one. It's all uphill from Polegate to Heathfield. So you cycle.
Oh, on a slow
11
gradient,
miles.
is
It
it?
doesn't look like it's uphill, but you're completely broken by the time you get to the top. And then the way back seems to take about 10 minutes.
Oh, right.
It's fabulous.
You're just coasting,
So go
coasting
from
back.
north. If you're going to do it, start in Heathfield. That's my top tip.
There we are. Top tip from Dumpman. Julia's very pleased that she's been dying to know quite why that's it. Andy Ash says, "Oh, that's ruined it for me. I'm not quite sure. Have you the guts recovered after your recent bout of brown rain?" Oh,
Brown rain!
brown rain.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see the comments last time. Somebody said, "Dumpman, are you doing lots of dumping?" You know,
Pint Man.
I was very ill, but I'm fine now. Thank you.
Pint Man, Dean Rhodes is putting forward, seems an appropriate name. You like your
Yeah.
pints.
Well, half
Pint
pint
Man.
now.
Half pints,
Yeah.
it's going. Malcolm Glazier says, have you ever searched any parts left on the old Selsey tramway?
Yes. Yeah, I did the Chelsea tram. That was one of the first ones I did, actually.
So these are available to buy,
So,
presumably.
yes, available to buy. You can't have these ones for nothing.
No, check them out on the on the website.
I did that in 2006, the Chelsea tram, fairly thoroughly. And it was, yeah, there was a few bits and pieces. There are still bits and pieces that you can go and see now. Hunston Lifting Bridge, a few platforms at Hunston, Cholder Farm. Yeah, there's a lot to see. And it's good fun.
Anything that you and I could go and do on a Bald Explorer?
No.
No. Fair enough. Not whilst there's a video to be sold.
No, it's not that. There's not enough for us to
There's
drive
not
all
enough.
that way yet.
No.
We could do more stuff closer.
Well, I'm in your hands for that. Alan, no, wait a minute. Steve Pilfold says talking about the going up that gradient. He says the trains were timed longer up the direction in the gradients.
Ah, okay.
The trains
I
were
didn't know
timed
that.
longer in the up
Yeah.
direction
Nice.
due to the gradients. Yeah. Has Dumpman done the Cox Wood line, Dulwich to Crystal Palace?
No, but I would love to do that. I've seen pictures of that, and it looks fantastic.
Is there anywhere that you really, really want to go
Well,
that you just never got round to?
Yeah, there is. I mean, a lot of people through the website, people can suggest lines that they want me to do.
Yes.
And some of that, I've meshed with lines that I particularly wanted to do.
Right.
And that's set the agenda for the last 10 years, really. But there are some which people keep pushing for, which I would like to do. But and the big one is always the Somerset and Dorset, which is 71 miles.
Wow.
Between Bournemouth and Bath or something like that. And I always say to them that I'll quite happily do that when I get made redundant, because
Right.
I have
You've got the
3
time.
months or whatever at my disposal. But I would love to do that because there's
So you
so
could
much
do
to
it
see.
in one long 3-month hit rather than in bits.
I mean, I may well end up doing it in bits, but and do sort of part 1, part 2. But it'd be so much nicer to do it as here it is, the whole thing,
Right. So when you do them normally, do you do them? You plan them out where you're going to go in advance, and take time off work.
Yeah, normally a week or 2 weeks a year.
And you're on your own, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting up, going out. You're staying
in the cheapest, roughest hotel, motel, whatever, to save money, and getting up very early morning and making the most of the day. Yeah.
Come rain or shine.
Well, rain is a pickle. That can ruin things.
Yeah.
But,
I know what that's like with filming because of the rain on the lens and all of that.
Impossible. I mean, this last year was difficult, but I've been really, really lucky with weather for most of the times I've done it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, there we go. I'm so happy that I worked in some. This is Steve Blake. He says, I'm so happy that I worked with some of the drivers that actually worked on those closed lines.
Steve, he has so many tales to tell. I know you.
We're going to get him on the show. Actually, Steve, whilst I think about it, we were talking about this before we came on because...
Talking about you.
Yeah, we were talking about you, Steve. And Dumpman was just saying, hey, you should go to Steve's house because you've got your house. He's been there, haven't you? You've been there.
Yeah.
Full of exciting memorabilia and big enough to bring the portable studio. So because we've had a bit of an issue of space here, because it is cramped here,
We're in
isn't
a
it?
cupboard. You don't realise it. I thought this was going to be a big room.
A big studio with
snuggled
staff.
in,
No green room, no makeup,
Yeah.
no personal assistant looking after you, fanning you down, massage before the show, all that sort of stuff.
Proper warts and all.
No, none of that, I'm afraid. It's all very basic here. So I don't know how you feel about that, Steve, but we still would love to do get you on the show, because you've got some fascinating stories, not only on the trains, but obviously with your legs and stuff. And you've got all that memorabilia to talk about.
Yeah.
So
a vast pool of knowledge. I mean, this, if I can just quietly mention.
Yeah,
I mean, some of you, your people, will know that I run a
people.
Your people, Richard's people. I run a Facebook page called the Disused Railways of Sussex. Some of you are part of that, I know. And Steve Blakey's contributions to that have been enormous. You know, for the last however many years it's been going, absolutely huge. Old photos, and the knowledge is just fabulous. Yeah.
So yeah, check out the Disused Railways of Sussex Facebook group.
Yeah.
Is it a closed group? Can anyone join? How do they?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. But
only every couple of months I look and see if someone wants to join.
All right.
It's all a bit haphazard. You know? I do run it, but it's the loosest hand on the tiller you could imagine.
Right. But you've got people like Steve who are contributing some interesting and valuable content, and it is amazing. All these groups, actually, you know, there's all these histories of this and histories of that, and past and present places, and people come out of the woodwork with amazing pictures that you just wouldn't believe. Steve says that's a great idea. I think Steve is up for bringing the studio to you, which would be great. So we'll just sort out a date, you know, which would be lovely. Alan Piddington says it's a closed group and he has joined. Disused Railways of Sussex. Yes, Steve Pilford says Steve is great on that group. There we go. A lot of love going out to you, Steve, as we speak.
And so is Steve Pilfold, actually.
So
Steve Pilfold knows more about the Crowhurst to Bexhill line than anybody else. He's the absolute authority.
Well, it's funny because the Bald Explorer sort of crosses a number of different interests. We've got people interested in windmills, disused railways, some interested in canals. I haven't done enough on canals, I admit. And then, you know, country walks and all sorts of heritage. It's a nice sort of very broad, so we cross a number of different paths. Maggie Walters, he says, I'm talking about Dumpman's chopper bike. I think there's a bit of a conversation going on privately there. Steve Pilford says 1,600 members on your group.
Is that right?
So he says, yeah, it's great.
Okay.
So that's really nice.
I'm not very thorough about keeping up with numbers. I'm sure he's right, though.
Well, we've only got 654, but that I'm very proud to have 654.
Great. Yeah.
So, you know,
some of these groups are huge. I mean, if I can just mention Carol Homewood. I mean, she's a member. I think she's a member of your group. She's certainly a member of Disused Railways of Sussex. But she runs a thing called Brighton Past, which for those of you who are interested in the Brighton area, you know, they're just the most. It's a huge group. And the contributions of old photos is extraordinary. The resource that she's gathered there.
Yes, definitely.
And anything about Brighton history that she doesn't know isn't worth knowing, you know.
Well, I'd like to do more on Brighton, because we could then share our videos on Brighton past, as you say. And I mean, there's so much about Brighton that would be interesting. And so it's just a question of, you know, getting round to it like everything else.
Sure, yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the time, because time is ticking on. We've only got 6 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. Hard to believe. Where
does that go?
I know, it goes so very quickly.
Let's do a 2-hour show.
Before we go, we must go and have a look at what you've been posting in the group. So let's have a look and have a look where you've been posting. For those that don't know and that have joined for the first time watching the live thing, you'll find these photographs in the Bald Explorer group, which you can join very easily. I'm just selecting one picture from each different poster. They're just the last few pictures that people have posted, but people post loads of pictures, so go and check them all out. So let us have a quick gander and see what is there.
Well, that's rather nice.
So on the gallery today, we have, starting with Tom Crowford, who has posted a picture at the Church of St Nicholas, west at Wilden. Oh golly, now I can't read it because it's just gone off my screen. But somewhere in Sussex anyway. But go and check it. Go and check that out. It's a beautiful church. So there's a whole set of pictures there. This one absolutely fascinated me. Robert Crosser up north in a Scottish location. Again, check this out. Is a Buddhist monastery, and there's somebody is that the Pasmansanda position, the lotus position, doing a bit of, but he may not realise it. There's a giant cobra coming up about to gobble his head up.
Looks like the cover of a Whitesnake album.
Oh yeah, it could be. Not that I've ever heard Whitesnake band myself. I'm so square. We've got Matthew Holdsworth, who has been to St John's Church in Earlswood, which I'm guessing is in Surrey. I may be wrong. Martin Snow, for no apparent reason, but he has bought himself a 3D printer and is very proudly printing off some interesting stuff. Quite what he's going to do with it, but he's got a battery holder.
What is that?
I don't know. It's a 3D printer.
Yeah.
Talking about technology. So you can now print things in 3D space, which is very useful. But he reliably informed that he was going to put the reasons he's got the machine and what he wants to do with it. So if anybody's got any 3D printing they need, Martin Snow is the man to go and see, and he will print it out. He's got his lovely machine and gadget. Linda Kane has been to the Watts Gallery and the Chapel in Compton in Surrey. Now, Julia, please make a note of this. This looks an absolutely astonishing place, and I'd like to go and visit it. So maybe you'll come along with me. The Watts Gallery, or maybe even Mark English will be able to take me there. Check out the pictures in the gallery, because in the group rather, because she puts in an explanation there. We went to Selborne the other day to do some work, and the Gilbert White videos will be coming out very soon. Julia posted this. Thank you, Julia. That's the I think it's St Mary's Church in Selborne. Lovely place. Next up, we've got David Henry Allen, who has been to Hatchlands Park in Surrey, and you've got a nice selection of pictures. Lovely looking old Georgian house there, which is well worth I assume it's a sort of open to the public sort of place. I have no idea. And Alan Piddington has been at Tilford in doing his 1940 Village at War reenactment stuff the other weekend. Posted the pictures. There he is as the warden at post number 10. And next time you do that, let me know, Alan, because I must come and film you doing it and do an interview with you, because it looks absolutely first-class fun. And finally, just to let you know, tomorrow, the video that the lovely Julia and I will be about Wells, the smallest city in England, may even be in Britain, in Somerset. We did that when we finished our Glastonbury visits. That's tomorrow's video. We walk along and do a very, very quick... we actually parked the car in a 20-minute bay, and we had to just whiz round and do it. But it's very nice. The architecture in... Have you ever been to Wales?
Plenty of disused railways there, yes.
Are there?
Yeah.
And you've done those?
No, it's on the list.
On the list.
Yeah.
So you can't buy the disused railways of Somerset yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Won't be long.
That's true. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the show now. Just to remind you a few things then. You can get a free DVD if you haven't done it already, and I'm sure everybody has. Go to dumpman.co.uk. The first 5 or 6 emails with the correct address, your own address, that is, of course.
Yeah. That would help.
That would help. Yeah. And any lines, any lines of flattery may persuade him. Who knows?
Send abuse if you like. I don't mind.
Failing that, of course, you can purchase other films. You've got the whole list of films on the website.
It's all there.
So Dumpman will be up for that. So you can check out his website anyway. They're all waiting to go. And you've got your latest film, which is in Hampshire.
Yes.
People have already said that that's marvellous.
Yeah, Steve has anyway.
So
that's all that matters. If Steve likes it, that's the acid test.
Absolutely. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. Lovely chimneys. Oh yes, about Wells, that's true. So Malcolm Glazer says the original clock made the LBSCR for Billingshurst Station is restored and in the booking hall. I'm not quite sure where that comes in, but we've got a delay here anyway. I sent in 3 emails, says Andy Ash. 2 personal ones and my work one. All right, yeah, thanks, Andy. So trying to be a smart Alec.
What's he want? 3 copies of the DVD?
Yeah. It's 3 copies. That might be cheating.
Okay.
And Cass Pollard. Hello, Cass. She says, love Wales, cathedral is lovely. Well,
Yeah.
it is very lovely. We, Julia and I aim to go back to Somerset because there's so much more that we haven't seen. We did Glastonbury and we didn't do all of Glastonbury. There's so much more. It's just that it needs to do, there's never enough time.
Cheddar Gorge?
Cheddar Gorge. I'd like to take Julia to I've been to the Cheddar Gorge, did a podcast at the Cheddar Gorge with my mate Paul Stoneman many years ago, and we went into the caves where they store the Cheddar Gorge cheese.
Oh, right.
And the caves, no matter where you go in the caves, it's 11 degrees centigrade all over, and they store and mature some of the cheese, not all of them are cheese, but some of them are cheese in the caves because
Does it smell of cheese when you're in there?
Of the caves?
Yeah.
No, but the cheese smells of cave.
Oh, what does cave smell like?
I don't know. Dank and
Probably
drippy.
smells of cheese.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Dumpman for coming in.
Pleasure.
It's been an absolute
It's been great.
star
Really,
to
really
see
good
you.
fun.
I haven't managed to drink all
I
my
know.
beer, but I will get through it now. Now that I've got a relatively clear head. Tomorrow, Georgie, my daughter, will be on the show talking about her intended travels and this, that and the other and goodness knows what. We did a video, Georgie, check it out, climbing up Cadair Idris in Wales. Check out the Dumpman and I films, the Bald Explorer with Dumpman, and of course check out dumpman.co.uk. So, have you had fun?
I've had a wonderful time. Thank you very much for having me.
Will you come back?
I'd love to come back.
We'll do another. Would you like Dumpman to come back?
If this lot say come back, I'll come back.
Yes, absolutely. If you'd like Dumpman to come back, we'll maybe we'll get a little barbecue going or do something, or do a live outside somewhere.
I'll bring more cans of San Miguel.
There we go. Fantastic.
Then we'll talk plenty.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear this music, you know we've got to go. So sorry. We've got to go. We've got tunnels to disappear into.
Yeah.
We've got old lines to follow into the darkness. Have a great evening. Thank you, Dumpman.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Been absolute fun. And we will see you on the next one tomorrow. Until then, thank you very much for coming. From Dumpman and I, goodbye.